How's it going, everybody? I hope you're all having a good day. I apologize again for the delay in videos. I just had a ton of stuff going on. I'm also just about to finish Bloodborne, which is easily my favorite game that I played in 2019, and definitely on my top 10 favorite games of all time list. I also platinumed Adventure Time Pirates of the Enchiridion, which I completely recommend if you love Adventure Time, but unfortunately it is in dire need of a performance patch that it's most likely never going to get. Now let's give away something from the Live Hunting 26 video. We had 42 unique commenters, which is quite high, and Pepsi Man, you're the winner. So if you're watching this, send me a message to gettingyournerdon13@gmail.com and I will get something out to you. And if you didn't win, don't worry, we're gonna have a giveaway in this video. Just leave a comment about absolutely anything below and I'll pick someone in the next video to send something to. And now let's check out some mail. Alright, so the first game here is an Atari Jaguar game. Now Atari Jaguar is very interesting in a lot of ways. Besides just the console itself, it was absolutely worthless for a long time. Like, you couldn't give away an Atari Jaguar for a while, for years, and now they have just skyrocketed in price. I found an Atari Jaguar when I was like 13 or 14 at a flea market, so I've been collecting for it on and off when I can find stuff. I meant to pick this game up when it was around $20, then it went to $30. I ended up getting this for $18 shipped, which is right in the window of what I wanted to pay for it. And the person who sold this to me on eBay shipped it in a flat rate priority mailbox, and I'm not exactly sure why they did that because it costs over $7 to ship that way. And there's not really much meat on the bone here to begin with, paying only $18 for it. So this should have just gone first class for like $3.50, but whatever. Regardless, doesn't matter. And this is just a skiing and snowboarding game. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this person's name because I don't know who they are. I don't know anything about skiing or snowboarding, but this is what a Jaguar game looks like. And this is just a very loud, like 90s extreme sports game. Like, the colors are very loud. There's an Atari Jaguar cart, has the pull handle at the top, and the Atari Jaguar actually will not turn on without a cartridge inserted into it. It acts as a circuit breaker. And I'm just now noticing that there's no overlays that came with this game, but after doing a little research, it looks like it never came with any to begin with. The games come with an overlay for the controller keypad that tell you exactly what all the buttons do. And here's the second score from eBay, probably the thing I'm most excited for in this entire video. Somebody posted this for $22 shipped and said it was a Japanese copy. So I was going to take the gamble on it, and here it is. It is a North American copy. This is Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures. I like this one a lot. It's a really fun Zelda game. And I'm big into collecting like the big oversized boxes, and there's a bunch of these on Nintendo consoles because normally when they have some innovative thing that you're going to use or some different way to play, they'll package in whatever you need to actually, play in that way. And this comes with the Game Boy Advance to GameCube link cable that's required to play the game multiplayer. If you ever see the box for Odama, it comes with a microphone, as does Mario Party 6 and Mario Party 7. And here's the Game Boy Advance to GameCube link cable. It is different from the one that connects multiple Game Boy Advances together, and you can play with up to 4 people with this game, and if you do, you all have to have a Game Boy Advance. So you play together, or you can control all of them yourself. It's an interesting game, it's a fun game, it's very bright, it's very colorful, it's very GameCube. I had been looking out for this for quite a while because, again, I like to collect the big box stuff, and unfortunately this was sent in a bubble mailer instead of a box, so it did get a little crushed, but I will try to flatten it out with some heavy books. 22 shipped was a steal of a deal for this, and like I said, it was listed as a Japanese copy, but the pictures were of the North American release that you see here, and it was worth a gamble. The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures was developed and published by Nintendo and released in 2004 exclusively for the GameCube. It's the second Zelda game released on the GameCube following 2003's Wind Waker and the 11th installment in the franchise overall. Although 4 Swords Adventures allows you to play the entire game single player, it provides the option for up to 4 people to play it together. In single player mode, you use either a standard GameCube controller or Game Boy Advance, but with 2 or more players, Game Boy Advance units and GameCube link cables are required to play. This style of multiplayer co-op in the Zelda universe began on the GBA re-release of Link to the Past in 2002, where a secondary portion was added for up to 4 people to play together. Although 4 people can play with a single copy of 4 Swords Adventures, a separate game pack is required for everyone who plays the original 4 Swords. And here's a local indoor flea market that we've been to before. We found the Sega Saturn games here. Unlike the other flea market where they sell inside and outside depending on what time of the year it is, there's no outside vendors here. It's all inside. And don't even attempt to get here at like 7 o'clock or 8 to like beat people. Vendors don't even show up to this place until like 9:30. This place is not on Google Maps anymore, so it's very difficult to find unless you know exactly where it is. And even then, it's still not that easy to find. So first up here, we have some Wii stuff in this cabinet. There's 2 classic controllers and 2 nunchucks, I believe. $5 each on those. We'll take a closer look at them in a second. I don't see anything else in this display cabinet up here. And here they are. Just remember, when you're buying classic controllers, or really any controllers, just check that they're official. You can tell because these actually say Nintendo on the back, and they say Nintendo where you plug them into the Wiimote. And also just make sure the cords aren't nicked. $5 a piece on these is a great deal. We'll talk about them a little more later. And here's a PlayStation Mini PSONE. This does not come with the power cord, but it's $5. I found a couple power cords in a previous video, so I'm definitely picking this up. And here are some Pokemon strategy guides. This is for black and white. The one behind it is for emerald. They're $3 a piece. I'm going to grab the emerald one. I try not to buy many strategy guides just because they're big and bulky and I don't need them, and I hate moving this kind of stuff from like place to place. Since I am such a big fan of the Game Boy Advance, I'll pick up this one, but that's going to be it for me out of the lot. And look at that Pokemon Platinum guide. Look at that. That's thicker than a freaking like college textbook. And the last one is for Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Even if you don't use these as strategy guides, they honestly just look great as art books. If you collect this stuff, $3 is a great deal. I'm not sure if they all had their posters, but overall they're in pretty nice shape. And then here is a Pokemon hat. This is definitely from the late 90s. It's official Nintendo. The front has Raichu, Zubat, and Zapdos. There's the official Pokemon and Nintendo tags. I don't really need it, but it's official, in good shape, and only $1, so I'm picking it up. Here are a bunch of PS4, Xbox One, PS3, and Xbox 360 games. This guy kind of came and went. I feel like this vendor was there for 1 week. I didn't buy anything, and I never saw him again. Lords of the Fallen is in there, Watch Dogs, Titanfall 2, which I constantly hear is a great game. And here's the PS3 side. There's Far Cry 3 down there. What else do we have? Bunch of 10-footers in here too. There's the original Assassin's Creed, and like I always say, it's a very hard sell at this point. It's just really outdated, and if you ever want to get anything out of that game, you're gonna have to start the series there. UFC is in there, Infamous, more NBA 2K. There's a copy of Mortal Kombat 9, which I swear is single-handedly responsible for bricking my PlayStation 3. There's nothing crazy here, but there is quite a variety. There's something here for everybody. I can't even remember how much he was charging for these games. They could have been $1, they could have been $100. I don't remember. Uncharted 4 is in there. There's Mafia 3. Some more wrestling games. A couple copies of Injustice in there. There's Mighty No. 9, which really isn't that bad of a game, but I swear it just suffered embarrassment after embarrassment after embarrassment. Here's a bunch of Legos. This is from Fantastic Beasts, $40. This stuff I believe is pretty much marked retail, what you pay on eBay if you're going to pick this stuff up. Here's Darth Maul, he's $20. I don't know where you'd get some stuff like this that's brand new to just be reselling. I mean, if this is stuff that fell off the back of the truck or liquidated, I have no idea. Here's some from the Lego Movie. This guy has a ton. They're all brand new too. Here is Speed Champions. $45 on that one. Here's the Statue of Liberty. This one's $100. And when I looked this up just to kind of gauge prices, I mean, it sells for about $100 on eBay, so probably actually a little less on eBay, but there's a Statue of Liberty. Here is another Harry Potter one. This, I believe, is from the second movie when the car gets stuck in the tree. $40 on that one. And then finally, there's a Minecraft one in here. Minecraft is the perfect thing to make Legos of because Minecraft is essentially the digital version of, Legos. And this one is the Ocean Monument. I didn't have Legos as a kid, so I don't really have any attachment to them, but I have put some Star Wars sets together and the DeLorean from Back to the Future. Here's a couple stacks of movies and games, $3 each or 2 for $5. Some of these discs are so scratched that there's no chance in hell that these games are going to play. Here's Space Channel 5 for the PS2 with a copy of Frogger and the first disc for Rival Schools in there. I am going to pick up this just because I want this copy of Rival Schools, even if it's just to show it in this episode because it is really scratched and of course doesn't come with the case. There's some other ones. There's some Yu-Gi-Oh in there, some Madden, a lot of 10-footers over here. Here is a copy of Grand Theft Auto 3, but has the second disc of Rival Schools in it. So you're about to see just how scratched these discs really are. The second disc is actually cracked, you can see it in there, but I'm going to pay the $250 for this because I want a copy of it. Now the second disc, this one, the Evolution disc, which is cracked, doesn't work and it shouldn't be any surprise, but I did get the first one buffed and it works fine, so we'll check it out later. And I'm going to pair this with a Dragon Ball Z game, I think it's Budokai 2. That's in actually pretty much new condition. Here's a tub of random stuff with a Mad Catz Dreamcast controller. I'm definitely going to leave that behind, but here's a Gears of War 3 Xbox 360 wireless controller. Needs new thumbstick covers and a new back battery cover, but I do have replacement parts, so for $5 I'm going to pick this up and get it going again. Here's a Dreamcast that has seen better days. Looks like the lid was taped down at some point. I didn't ask how much this was. I'll probably go back and pick it up at some point because, I mean, these things are built like tanks. It should work just fine. Here's a knockoff 360 controller, and there's an official black wireless 360 controller behind the box that I would have picked up had I noticed it. Here's a stack of $1 PS1 games, Tony Hawk 2, 2 Extreme, Army Men 3D, Williams Arcade Classics, that's actually a PC game, Lego Ninjago, and Strike Point. For $1 each on those, I'm grabbing all of them. And here's the reseller booth of the flea market. I recommend you guys always go through there and take a look at what you can find, because it's very easy to find stuff that has either an old price tag or was never marked properly to begin with. You can come out with a great deal. There's a bunch of 10 footers that are in front of me in that stack, and in there I found this copy of Ikaruga. I asked the guy how much it was. He said just give him $5 for it. This is a great shoot 'em up. We're going to take a look at it later. Very happy to find that. And then here's a tub of Super Nintendo games. As you can see, most of the stuff is going to be marked at eBay or probably higher. There are a couple good deals in here, like this copy of Super Metroid for $20. This is a game that shot up for quite a while and relatively recently came back down to about $30, $35 range. It's a game that will always be in demand, so I really should have picked it up. I'll just grab it next time I go back. There's a copy of Super Mario All-Stars there to the left with a $40 price tag on it. There's a F1 game, the Donkey Kong Country. There's a Mickey game, I can't remember which one that is, and I can't read the label from here. Jungle Book, there's a Taito game, Super Scope 6, there's Monopoly for $12, Aero the Acrobat. Aero the Acrobat 2 is actually on the Super Nintendo. It's a game I don't come across very often. There's Battle Clash, there's a Kawasaki game, Populous, a worthless Super Nintendo game. It's also worthless on the Sega Genesis. What else do we have here? There is, I can't read that. Kawasaki game, Pitfall the Mine Adventure, wrestling game under that, and then of course Super Putty, which I always think is Mega Man X2. And there's George Foreman KO Boxing, and here's a translucent DualShock 2 controller. I meant to pick one of these up at a flea market in a previous video, and I left without going back for it, so I'm going to grab this one this time. And here's a dual analog controller like the one we found a couple videos ago. This is stuck in this huge ball of cords, which means that this has been here for probably years, but it's been covered in this jacket. That's why I've never seen it. I am going to dig it out of this cord ball, and we're going to take it apart and clean it, because these controllers are not common and they're not cheap, and I'd like another one. And remember to always go through the selections of games every time you go there, even if you've seen them before and think nothing's changed. Here's a copy of Mario Party 8. I was not expecting to see that. It wasn't there last time, but it's complete, and I don't have it, so it's going to go right in my Wii collection. And for the two controllers a game and the thing that we're going to see in a minute, the guy only wanted $15 for all of it, which is a great deal. There's also just so many 10 footers here. There's Country SingStar, there's Frogger for the 2600, random cables everywhere, light bulbs. Dave Mirra's BMX I don't have, and I do need to pick up at some point. Great game. What else do we have here? A lot of Guitar Hero, Madden, again 10 footer City, and then the last thing here that I was talking about was the sealed PlayStation 2 network adapter. And this is another thing that I don't necessarily need, but it is brand new in the box and it's really cheap. There is a crack in the plastic, but I've been on a kick lately of picking up either like brand new or complete in box accessories for the PlayStation and Wii, so I'm gonna grab it. And lastly, this guy just had a bunch of random Xbox and PS2 games, I believe $4 a piece. Here's a copy of Mortal Kombat Deception. This is actually like the special edition that came with a second disc, a metal trading card, and like a box that it goes into. This doesn't have any of that, but I did find the special edition disc on a spindle to the right. You can't see it, but there's like a disc spindle to the right over there, and it was actually in there. And the special edition disc contains an arcade perfect version of the first Mortal Kombat game. $4 a piece. Full Spectrum Warrior. There's Amped. What do we have here? Thunderstrike, SOCOM 3, Cabela's. There was Need for Speed Underground before that. There's Mech Assault 2, Lone Wolf. There's a copy of Area 51. I should have picked that up. Desert Storm 2, NFL Street. The Street series is really good and spans multiple sports. Pac-Man, True Crime, 007, $4 a piece. You could do a whole lot worse. And so here's the other side of the flea market where everyone has their stores set up. These are some Sonic backpacks. Next to those we have some Pokemon backpacks. There's Squirtle and a Pokeball. Behind those we have some Pokemon cards. I'm going to guess that these are bootleg. I can't remember how much they were, but chances are they're fake. Here is a knockoff Pikachu flying toy. It kind of looks like Winnie the Pooh, but the box is definitely Pikachu. I love this knockoff stuff. There's so much of it, it looks hilarious, and I just love talking about it. Here's the Universal War, which is obviously Star Wars. To the left of that is Super Dino Force, which would be the Ninja Turtles. We have Super Wrestling, some ninja stuff, and this just goes on forever. There is so much of this bootleg, like Chinese knockoff junk. Look at this, like lol balls, and it just keeps going forever. There's fidget spinners, everything, and it's all over the place. First up, we'll take a closer look at the Wii Classic controller. So 2 reasons to own one of these controllers. 1, if you own an NES Classic or SNES Classic, you can use this, and there's actually a home button built into this controller that is not on either of the other 2 controllers. If you press it, it'll take you right back to the home screen, and I don't believe there's any native way to do that, with the exception of getting up and pressing the reset button. And 2, with this controller, you can navigate the Wii menus without having to use a sensor bar in the Wii mode controls. Here is Rival Schools in the Space Channel 5 Special Edition case. Again, these discs are in really bad shape, but the first disc boots right up and plays just fine, which is not surprising because it's a PlayStation disc, but the second disc is cracked and it's never going to play. It's completely beyond effed. And then here's the back of the Space Channel 5 case. Great game. A surprise this came out on the PS2 after it was originally out on the Dreamcast. It's an oddball one for sure. There's been a couple random ports of this game, and Space Channel 5 actually did receive a sequel, but I believe the only version that made it outside of Japan is the one that's currently on Steam. Rival Schools United by Fate was developed and published by Capcom and released between 1997 and 1998 for arcades and PlayStation. Although the game is a one-on-one 3D fighter, the player chooses two characters and can use team-up attacks and switch between them after each round. The PlayStation release of the game comes with 2 discs including the arcade game and a second titled the Evolution disc, which includes mini-games as well as character creation. Sakura, who was introduced in the 1996 release of Street Fighter Alpha 2 and has since become a staple in the series, is a playable character in the game. Rival Schools received a sequel, titled Project Justice, that was released in 2000 to arcades and the Dreamcast, in addition to a failed comic book series released in 2006. And here's the game that I paired it with. This is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2. There is the Budokai series on the PS2, there's another game called Infinite World on the PS2, and there's also the Budokai Tenkaichi series, which is like 1 through 3, and the Budokai series also has 1 through 3. The Budokai series, at least, is like a combination between a board game and a fighting game. So you go around the board game, you try to accomplish different things, and once you cross paths with an enemy, it clashes and you have to fight him like you can see on the screen here. I don't really know much about Dragon Ball Z, but the game looks nice and controls just fine. You didn't get to see it because the footage didn't come out well, but I found this at the reseller booth. It was $15. This is Castlevania the Dracula X Chronicles. It's a game that I saw when it came out, I never picked up, and I really just don't see anymore. The art also in this case is just beautiful. This game is a combination of Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood, and Rondo of Blood is redone into like a 2.5D game, just like Capcom did with Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins on the PSP. It just makes the game look a little different. I still prefer the original graphics. They just look a lot more crisp than this does, but they're two great games, and the Castlevania series is great as a whole. The soundtracks are amazing, and these are two of the best in the series. Next up is Ikaruga for the GameCube. This was developed by Treasure, who is one of my favorite development companies of all time. They did Gunstar Heroes, they did Guardian Heroes, they did Dynamite Headdy, they did the McDonald's game on the Sega Genesis, they did the Tiny Toons game on the Game Boy Advance, and they also did the remakes of Gunstar Heroes and Guardian Heroes on the Game Boy Advance. This game is not the deepest game because there's not like a bunch of upgrades and a bunch of crazy things going on. It's a very simple premise, but when you watch people who are really, really good play this game, it's mind-blowing. It's like watching someone who's like really great at Tetris. Ikaruga was developed by Treasure, published by Infogrames, and originally released between 2001 and 2003 for arcades, Dreamcast, and GameCube. It's a spiritual successor to one of Treasure's previous works, Radiant Silvergun. The game is a vertically scrolling shoot-'em-up where you control a ship called the Ikaruga with 2 different polarities. A second player can use a different ship, the Ginkei, that has the same abilities. With the press of a button, you switch the polarity of your ship from white to black and back again. If your ship is white, then you will shoot and absorb white bullets. If your ship is black, then you will shoot and absorb black bullets. Getting hit by black bullets with a white ship will destroy it and vice versa. Shooting a white enemy as a black ship and shooting a black enemy as a white ship will deal twice the amount of damage. There are 5 stages in the game that can be played through in single player or co-op mode. And here is the collector's edition of Mortal Kombat Deception. I bought this game when it came out way back in the day, and the version I had was the Scorpion one, so there was actually 4 different cover arts for the Xbox, and I believe just the one for the PS2, which was Sub-Zero. And the difference was just it came with a bonus disc that had the Arcade Perfect version of Mortal Kombat on it, as well as some biographies and stuff like that. It also came with a metal trading card that matched whichever character was on the box and a slipcover. And I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but this is the era where Mortal Kombat was trying out different things. They put a kart racer in one of the games. This has battle chess, and it also has a puzzle fighter clone called Puzzle Combat. Mortal Kombat Deception was developed and published by Midway Games and released in 2004 for PlayStation 2 and Xbox, 2005 for GameCube, and 2006 for PSP under the title Mortal Kombat Unchained. Besides just a fighting game, Deception offers a chess game, puzzle fighter clone called Puzzle Combat, and a role-playing conquest mode. It's the 6th main installment of the Mortal Kombat series following 2002's Deadly Alliance and is followed by 2006's Armageddon. Deception has 26 playable characters, including 9 new additions to the series. Deception not only added a second fatality to the combatants, but also introduced a Harakiri suicide move that can be executed by the losing player to end the fight with honor before the winner is able to complete their fatality. And here's the Gears of War 360 wireless controller. You can see the new thumbstick covers on there, and in the back you can see the new battery cover. I filmed myself taking this all apart and cleaning it. Unfortunately, that didn't come out very well, so I'm not going to show it. There is a chip in the bottom corner there of the back of the controller, which I'm totally fine with. I think it cleaned up great. It looks great. And this is one of the 360 controllers that has the updated D-pad. The original 360 D-pad is absolute trash, so they redesigned it to where you could turn it and it would pop up, and then you could turn it again and it would pop back down. It still might not be the most amazing D-pad of all time, but it's a whole hell of a lot lot better than it used to be. And now we're going to take a look at that stack of dollar PlayStation games. Here's Army Men 3D. This is a game I had never played back in the day. I've still never played it until I recorded the footage for this. I gotta say though, it controls well and it holds up. I like this game. This is one that I'm going to hang on to. There's also a couple more in the series that came out on PS1. This game series kept going for quite a while. I'm not sure exactly when the last one came out. And I have to say, yeah, I definitely recommend this game. And here's Too Extreme. This is a bad game. Well, maybe we don't have to say it's a bad game, but it's not good. I had this game when I was a kid, so I wanted this. This is going right into my collection because my copy is absolutely beat. I used to play this game all the time. It's kind of like an extreme sports version of Road Rash, where you can like knock people over and kind of try to fight them and stuff to get ahead of them and go off jumps. It's not really good. There's not too much to say about it, but yeah, I mean, I have a soft spot in my heart for it. Too Extreme was developed and published by Sony and released in 1996 exclusively for the PlayStation. The game consists of 4 sports performed around the world, including skateboarding in Los Angeles, snowboarding in Japan, mountain biking in Africa, and inline skating in Las Vegas. There are 3 courses and 4 difficulty levels per sport. Throughout the courses, you are able to pass through special gates that gain extra points, make objects move, or obtain one of 4 power-up advantages to your health, speed, strength, and jump. The game also allows for fighting, upgrading your player, and special trick commands. 2 Extreme was followed by 3 Extreme in 1999 and also received a reassigned prequel. The game was originally 1995's ESPN Extreme Games, but was re-released in 1998 as 1 Extreme. Next up is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Awesome game, so great. I haven't played this game in forever, and when I was getting the footage for it, I just kept playing it. It's so fun, it controls so well. We looked at Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 in a previous video, so we're not going to look really deep at this one, but it's great, it holds up, it's fantastic. Most of the Tony Hawk games are a safe bet if you want to get into the series. Tony Hawk Ride, Crashed and Burned, that was the one that came with the skateboard peripheral, and don't forget that Pro Skater 5 is an absolute dumpster fire. Next is Strike Point. This is a game that I've never heard of. The PS1 and PS2 libraries are absolutely gigantic. PS3 and PS4 also actually. All the PlayStation libraries are freaking huge. This was published by Technos, which you may be familiar with that name from Double Dragon and River City Ransom and games like that. This is the American counterpart. I guess they helped to get some of the games published. This game is okay if you're into like helicopter simulators. It controls fine. There's different missions around the world. And yeah, you could do a whole lot worse. Next up is LEGO Battles Ninjago. The Ninjago series was introduced by LEGO around 2011 to bring the ninja theme back to their products. The last one went out about a decade before that. And this series was very, very popular. They made over 200 LEGO sets for the Ninjago series. And this game is great. It looks nice. It's a nice little action RPG, real-time strategy kind of game. My only issue with it is that it's a little too heavy on the touchscreen mechanics. But other than that, I mean, I think it's pretty good. Here's that translucent green DualShock 2. It cleaned up nice, works great. There is a crack on the controller right there, which I didn't notice when I picked it up, but other than that, it's great. Here's Mario Party 8. There's actually 2 Mario Party games on the Wii, 1 on the Wii U, there's 4 on the GameCube, there's 3 on the N64, and there's 1 on the Switch. There's a bunch of handheld ones in between. The Switch one is an absolute blast to play, Super Mario Party. There's a segment of that game where you all have to row this raft down the water and you play mini games as you go. It is a blast. It's so fun. If you haven't played it on the Switch, definitely pick it up. And even though I'd like less motion control than more, at least it's not turned up to 11 in this game. Mario Party 8 was developed by Hudson Soft, published by Nintendo, and released in 2007 exclusively for the Wii. It is the 8th release in the series and the first to be released on the Wii after the previous 4 on the GameCube. Candies are introduced that alter the game, including 3 red candy affecting the dice block, 3 green candy impacting before your move, 4 yellow candy impacting while you move, and 4 blue candy massively impacting while you move. There are over 73 mini-games that can be played using motion controls or turning the Wiimote sideways and using the buttons. 14 playable characters are in Mario Party 8, including Birdo, Waluigi, Dry Bones, Hammer Bro, and custom-made Miis. And here's a closer look at the PlayStation 2 network adapter. This actually would have been built into all of the slim models, but if you have the fat model, it goes into the back where the hard drive goes. And there are actually quite a few PlayStation games that use this. It wasn't as big for the system as it was for the Xbox, which had Xbox Live and everyone played over that. And one of the last running games for the PlayStation 2 online was Final Fantasy XI, which ran all the way to 2016. That's pretty crazy. This is brand new. There's probably a reason to still own one of these and have one hooked up to your PlayStation, whether that's for homebrew or modding or still playing some of the games at a LAN party. And this network adapter actually has 2 jacks. One is for Ethernet and the other one is a phone jack in case you're going to be using a dial-up connection. And lastly for the video, we are going to clean up this dual analog controller. So remember, this is not a DualShock controller. It came after the original PlayStation controller and before the DualShock. It's the first one to have the analog sticks, but this does not have the rumble feature built into it, although it can be modded to have it. And this thing is filthy. Nobody took care of this. Somebody probably spilled soda on this because all the buttons are stuck in the controller, but it is not cracked. It is not broken. Everything here just needs to be cleaned up, and that's just what we're going to do right now. And here it is all cleaned up. I'm actually surprised how well this came out. And if you're wondering, do all the buttons work? Do the sticks work? Yeah, everything works. I actually recorded all the PS1 footage using this controller and everything went smoothly. These are the kind of things that I just hate to let rot at the flea market, like stuck in that ball of cords, when this is a perfectly good controller that just needed a little TLC. And like I said before, these aren't common or cheap. Here's the cleaned up controller side by side to what it looked like before. And again, it just needed some TLC. It didn't need any replacement parts. It just needed to be taken apart, cleaned, put back together, and given a second life. That's all. I am going to keep this as a pair to the one that I had found in the previous video. So that's all I found recently. What have you found? What have you been playing, listening to, reading, all the above? Thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment down below and I'll pick someone in the next video to send something to. And as always, stay nerdy.
Fatality.
Getting your nerd on, getting your nerd on, getting your nerd on.
I got a raging nerd on.